We're counting down the top 10 forgotten hits that made 1972 such an unpredictable year on the charts. From instrumental surprises and soft rock sing-alongs to Latin soul grooves and psychedelic one-offs, this ranking uncovers the artists and songs that climbed high, but vanished from classic playlists. Some were massive for a moment, and others left behind cult followings or wild trivia. Which song tops the list, and why have so many faded from memory? Let's begin with number 10. Apollo 100 blasted onto the airwaves in early 1972 with the song Joy. It was an instrumental that turned J.S. Bach's Jesu, Joy of Man's Desiring, into a Baroque pop rocket ride. Behind the name was Tom Parker, a London arranger who pulled together top session players like Clem Catini on drums and Vic Flick on guitar, names more often found in studio credits than on stage. With its bright organ, punchy rhythm, and a melody that stuck in your head after one spin, Joy raced up the United States charts, peaking at number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100 and reaching number 3 in Australia. The band never toured, and they had disbanded by 1973. But Joy lived on in films like Boogie Nights and The 40-Year-Old Virgin, proof that even a one-off studio project could leave a lasting echo. In 1972, Gallery's Nice to Be With You brought a warm, acoustic-driven sound straight from the Detroit suburb to radios across America. Written and sung by Jim Gold, the track was produced by Dennis Coffey, a name already known for his work on Motown's psychedelic soul. Gallery started as a Michigan bar band, hustling their demo to local stations until the song caught fire with the listeners. Its easygoing melody and sing-along chorus made it a favorite on AM radio, peaking at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 and hitting number 1 on the Adult Contemporary chart. While Gallery managed a couple of follow-up singles, none matched the reach of their debut. Nice to Be With You stands as a snapshot of the early 70s soft rock boom, an era when a regional bar band could score a national hit if the song was just right for the moment. At number 8, the Buoys song Give Up Your Guns arrived in 1972 as a sweeping cinematic outlaw ballad written by Rupert Holmes and Stan Silver. The band, from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, had just weathered a storm of controversy over their previous single Timothy, which hinted at cannibalism and drew FCC complaints and radio bans. That scandal hung over the group, making programmers in the United States wary of their follow-up, even though Give Up Your Guns told a far more conventional story of a desperate bank robber. While it barely cracked the Hot 100 at home, the song soared on Dutch charts, landing in the top 10 and earning a cult following across Europe. Holmes and Silver's names appeared on every pressing, but the Buoys themselves faded from American airwaves, their legacy shaped as much by controversy as by the lush harmonies and orchestral drama of this forgotten hit. Norman, nicknamed Hurricane Smith, spent years behind the mixing desk at Abbey Road, engineering early Beatles albums and producing the first 3 Pink Floyd records. In 1972, he stepped out of the control room and into the spotlight with Oh Babe, What Would You Say?, a song that sounded like it had drifted in from the 1930s dance hall. Smith's reedy, gently comic vocals, honking saxophones, and stride piano gave the track a big band shimmer that stood out on AM radio. Released on Columbia EMI, the single climbed to number 3 on the US Billboard Hot 100 in early 1973, and it cracked the UK Top 20. The novelty of a studio veteran in his 40s suddenly crooning a retro pop hit amused both listeners and Smith's old colleagues. While his chart success was brief, Hurricane Smith's detour from Beatles and Floyd sessions to front-page hitmaker remains one of 1972's most unexpected stories. Malo's Suavecito swept out of San Francisco's Mission District in 1972, blending Latin percussion, smooth brass, and a laid-back groove into a ballad that has been called the Chicano national anthem. Written by Richard Bean, Pablo Tellez, and Abel Zarate, the song's gentle chorus and bilingual soul made it a staple at West Coast dances, weddings, and lowrider cruises. While it peaked at number 18 on the Billboard Hot 100 and spent 12 weeks on the chart, its real impact was regional. California and the Southwest kept it alive long after it slipped from national playlists. Malo's lineup, featuring Jorge Santana on guitar and a multi-percussion section, captured a sound rooted in Latin rock and community pride. Warner Brothers promoted the single, but it was the song's endurance in Latino culture that turned Suavecito into a timeless standard. In 1972, Jo Gunne raced out of Los Angeles with Run, 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 a lean, piano-powered rocker that left their psychedelic past in the rearview mirror. Jay Ferguson and Mark Andes, both fresh from Spirit's mind-bending experiments, steered this new band toward a punchier, boogie-driven sound. The single's insistent piano riff and shout along chorus landed it in the top 30 on the Billboard Hot 100, giving Asylum Records an early shot of radio energy. Fans expecting more of Spirit's swirling jams instead got a taste of the arena-ready, four-on-the-floor approach that would soon sweep rock radio. Although Jo Gunne's chart run faded by 1974, and Ferguson later found solo fame with Thunder Island, Run, Run, Run still stands as a sharp pivot, showing just how quickly the early 70s could trade in psychedelic sprawl for straight-ahead swagger. Blue Haze's Smoke Gets in Your Eyes slipped onto the charts in 1972 as a reggae pop reimagining of a 1933 standard. The project was not a band in the usual sense, but a studio creation led by British arranger Johnny Arthey and producer Phil Swern. They brought in session singers, most notably Teddy Brown on lead vocals, but did not credit anyone on the sleeve. This was a common move for UK budget labels, letting them recycle musicians across projects while keeping costs down. Released on A&M for Europe and tied to the Major Minor and Goldfish catalog in the UK, the single paired Kern and Harbach's melody with a gentle island beat. The record reached number 27 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 32 in the UK, but without a touring act or public face, Blue Haze faded quickly from view. Their take remains a curious footnote, proof that even anonymous studio teams could nudge a classic back onto the airwaves with a fresh groove. Coven's One Tin Soldier rode a wave of movie magic into the American mainstream, yet the band's own identity slipped into the shadows. The song was written by Dennis Lambert and Brian Potter, and it first found life with the original cast in 1969. But Coven's version, recorded for the 1971 film Billy Jack, captured the era's restless spirit. Jinx Dawson's clear, haunting vocal powered a folk rock parable of war and peace, echoing over scenes of rebellion and hope. Released on Warner Brothers, Coven's single climbed to number 26 on the Billboard Hot 100 and to number 16 on the Adult Contemporary chart, outpacing the original US run. For many, One Tin Soldier became inseparable from the film's message, yet confusion lingered over who truly owned the song. Even as school choirs and radio stations kept the melody alive, Coven's occult rock roots and Dawson's insistence on band credit blurred the lines, leaving the song famous, but the artist's name nearly lost to time. Argent's Hold Your Head Up landed in 1972 like a surge of electricity, powered by one of the era's most recognizable organ riffs. Rod Argent, fresh from his days with the Zombies, built the song around a Hammond B3 and ran it through a Leslie speaker for that swirling, almost psychedelic punch. The album version stretched past 6 minutes, giving space for a bold improvisational organ solo that became a rite of passage for aspiring keyboardists. On the radio, most listeners heard the single edit trimmed to just over 3 minutes after Epic Records insisted on a tighter cut for top 40 rotation. That compromise kept the core riff and a taste of the solo, enough to hook both AM and FM audiences. In the United States and the United Kingdom, Hold Your Head Up climbed to number 5, Argent's only major international hit. While the song's message, part encouragement, part mystery, invited plenty of interpretations, it was the musicianship that set it apart. The band's lineup included Russ Ballard on guitar and vocals, Jim Rodford on bass, and Robert Henritt on drums, each bringing a background in British rock's underground. Despite the song's lasting presence on classic rock playlists, the name Argent never reached the household status of contemporaries like Deep Purple or Yes. Rod Argent's later work with the Zombies and Russ Ballard's songwriting for other artists would outlast their moment in the spotlight, but Hold Your Head Up endures as a touchstone for keyboard-driven rock, its riff still studied, its energy still unmistakable. Pocus's Hocus Pocus erupted onto the scene in 1972, a Dutch prog rock spectacle that seemed to defy every convention. Written by Thijs van Leer and Jan Akkerman, the song first appeared on Moving Waves in 1971, but it was the single edit clocking in just under 4 minutes that finally caught fire in the United States. The track opens with a thunderous guitar riff, part hard rock, part proto-metal, then veers into yodeling, flute solos, and bursts of scat vocals. Van Leer's voice leaps from yodels to whistles, while Ackerman's guitar anchors the chaos with riffs that would not be out of place on any classic rock station. In 1973, Pocus's appearance on the Midnight Special brought their wild energy to American television. Van Leer switched between yodeling, flute, and organ, while Ackerman tore through the main riff, grinning. The spectacle helped Hocus Pocus reach number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100. A rare feat for a mostly instrumental, non-English track from a European band. Released in the United States by Sire Records, the singles label flashed Van Leer and Ackerman's names, Sire 6108, and its tight runtime. No other hit has matched its fearless blend of virtuosity and eccentricity. Across all 10 entries, one truth stands out. The forgotten hits of 1972 thrived on unpredictability. These songs broke through not by fitting a mold, but by defying it. Their brief flashes remind us that pop culture is shaped as much by risk and surprise as by the legends we remember.